Right, good afternoon everyone. My name's Neville Hunt from Innovations in Education, and my interest is getting all you guys writing software, and in particular writing game software. So I have come up with a kit called the 7 Segments of Pi Challenge, and it's all about writing software and having fun. Now, we hope to have a video that we recorded last week to play. A few technical gremlins. Who's ever had technical gremlins with computer equipment? Yes. So if you go to the website in the next week, hopefully there'll be a link to a video, and it says it better than I can say it standing up in front of you. But what the 7 Segments of Pi is all about is making it easy to get started. So the standard version of the kit comes with an SD card. Does anyone have problems programming an SD card before? No, the advantage with this, it's got all the normal Raspberry Pi software, but it's also got all the software ready to start, so you don't have to do any programming of SD cards. You're off and running straight away. We will do a version where you download the code for the SD card for those that are happy to do it that way. First thing you have to do, it's a kit. Who's done soldering? Oh, a few solderers. Anyone made it work first time what they were soldering? Occasionally I'll put my hand out. Occasionally I get it to work first time. Sometimes a little bit of touching up of joints is needed just to get it working. So if any of you have not done soldering, it's great fun. And when you finish it, it feels more like yours when you've made it, rather than just bought it in a shop already made. So what you would have when you finish the kit, pockets full of things. That is the 7 Segments of Pi, and I'm calling this possibly the simplest games console in the world, because it has the simplest display. It has a 7-segment display. It has the simplest control. It has one push button. But you'd be surprised what you can do in software with just a 7-segment display and one push button. So first of all, you get a bit of software to start you off. Whenever I write software at work, if I start from someone's existing bit of software and modify it, I find it so much easier. Because I don't have to understand all the bits of software, I only have to understand the bits I'm changing. So you start with a bit of software and you change it in 7 steps to make it act as a dice, which I've called a Pi dice. So you press the button, it counts 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and gives you a random number between 1 and 6. 1 and 6 if you're doing a conventional dice, of course. This is a display. You could do 5, 4, 3, 2, a random number between 1 and 9. I started doing this as workshops in school, and one of the lads said to me, I've done a dice that does any number between 1 and 10. And I said, well, no, you've got a single 7-segment display. A single 7-segment display can display a single digit number. He said, no, I've done it. I said, well, no, I don't think you would be able to. He said, come over here. And what he'd done is he thought, turn it on one side, because you've got individual control over every segment. He had this segment on, and these 4 segments on, and he created the number 10. Wonderful. I thought that is what it's all about. Come up with your own ideas. Your second task is to make it into a stopwatch. So It starts displaying the number 0. Press the button, goes 1, 2, 3. You press it again, it will stop. Press it a third time. What would you want a stopwatch to do third time? Yes. Clear, yes. I have it going back to 0. You could have a stopwatch that carries on counting at that point, and what we had at that point is sound effects. So it goes beep, click, click, click as it counts up, and then on the SD card there's loads of silly sound effects. Even at my age, I quite enjoy putting a silly sound effect onto it. So there's lots of sound effects that you could choose to use. So doing the dice, we've learned how to control individual segments. Anyone use the GPIO connector on the Raspberry Pi so far? 1 or 2 people. Good thing about the Raspberry Pi, GPIO connector allows you to control bits of hardware like the 7 segments. So you've learned that, you've learned how to do random numbers, doing the dice, you've learned how to do time delays with the stopwatch, you've learned how to do sound effects, you've also learned how to do something called state machines. Anyone done state machines? No, it's a software technique that's very useful. I use it all the time at work. All the guidance as to how to do state machine is in the manual. So you've now learned all those software techniques. You've now got to write a game. The game is called Figure 8 My Pi. So in Figure 8 My Pi, you have a single segment that goes around the outside of the display. And randomly, it decides to go across the middle in a figure 8 fashion. You've got to fire at that point. But if it goes past, you lose a point. So if you hit it, you get a point. If it gets past you, you lose a point. And then you can make it go, every time it goes across the middle, it gets a little bit faster and faster. You have to experiment with how fast you want it to go. If it goes too slow, the game's too easy. If it goes too fast, it's impossible. So when you're writing computer game software, you have to think about these things. So at the end of the 7 segments of Pi Challenge, you might have written your first computer game. But don't stop there. There's lots of ideas as to how to make the game Figure 8 My Pi better. You could put graphics on the screen while the game's playing. You could put a high score. I believe there's a way of doing a high score that is retained after power goes and when you switch back on. I've not managed to do it yet. Someone says they think they know how to do it. Could you work out how to do that? So that's the 7 segments of Pi Challenge. And I'll mention a couple of other things. The Pi Troll. I'm not saying anything about it, but if you've completed the 7 segments of Pi Challenge, this could be your first step to becoming the next generation of computer games designer. The Pi Troll, it could be your second step to becoming the computer games designer. And then there's something called PiDapter. PiDapter, that could be your third step. Now I'm not telling you what they are yet. I have working prototypes. But hopefully later in the year, both the Pi Troll and PiDapter will be around. So thank you for your attention, and if you want a demo, I'm out there in the hall. Cheers.